Welcome back to FM Story. We ended the last episode of our beat to save, having just gone top of the table after beating Burnley 4-1. Can we continue our push towards the Premier League, and who's going to win the World Cup? Let's find out. If you do enjoy this video, please like, subscribe and hit the notification bell. And without further ado, let's get going. We are approaching the end of our break for the World Cup. But the group stage of the World Cup has just concluded and there has been a few shocks. So looking at Group A, you probably have expected Senegal maybe to beat Ecuador, but nothing too out of the ordinary. In Group B, Wales lost every game. Iran obviously beat USA and Wales to finish second. Group C, Argentina didn't qualify. Group D, France only qualified in second place. Group E, Costa Rica qualified ahead of Germany. And Group F, Belgium only finished second in the group. And obviously Group G and Group H probably went as expected, although you could probably argue Uruguay probably could have finished above Ghana. But by and large, some pretty big teams haven't made it through. Some lesser teams have made it through, which throws up in the second round. You've got Iran playing Holland, France and Mexico, England and Ecuador, Denmark and Poland, Spain and Belgium, Ghana and Brazil, Costa Rica and Croatia, and Portugal and Switzerland. So obviously it's a very European-centric second round there. And you wouldn't have expected Ecuador to have qualified and Argentina not to have, and certainly wouldn't have expected Iran to have qualified. Now, will there be more shocks in the second round? Quite possibly, given that France didn't qualify at the top of the group. There's a fairly good chance they're not going to knock Mexico off. Spain and Belgium's a big game for the second round of the World Cup. Portugal and Switzerland, a pretty big game as well. Can Iran overcome Holland? We've made it past the break for the World Cup. So our first game back is against Preston. We finished before the World Cup break in first in the table. Norwich have played the game in hand that they had since then, and they've gone top of the table. Obviously, it's a big local game. The supporters are adamant that we win this because one of our priorities for the season is to finish above Preston in the table, which is looking pretty good at the moment. But obviously, we want to go out and get a win there. And hopefully, we can put on a similar performance to the one we ended before the World Cup. Hopefully, the break for the World Cup hasn't distracted us from where we are in the league. There's an awful lot of teams playing five at the back. I mean, that's five at the back with an anchor man. We can get off to a decent start. Antonio Silva with the free kick. Right, Carter. Hedges. Can we get the ball across? Oh! Almost a great start there. They got that wide a bit easy. Oh, great save. We got opened up far too easily there. The fact that our goalkeeper is by far and away our best player is a bit of a concern as well. Right, can we spread it to the... That's it. Oh. It didn't even look like he was trying to hammer the ball upfield there. It's a horrendously overhit pass. The defender leaves it because the keeper's coming out. He takes a touch, looks like he tries to pass it to his defender without seeing that Brereton Diaz was right in front of him, and he's left with an easy task of tucking it away. Scott Wharton can come off. And in fact, 2-0 up. Sam Gallagher with the header from a Tyler Morton corner. Before we get restarted, I think what we'll do, it's another near post, just great header. Whiteman with a free kick, is he going to have a shot? Great save by Kaminski. Right, can we get the head on this and get it cleared? Yep. They picked up the loose ball though. Oof. I mean, considering we're 3-0 up, I think Kaminski might end up being our man of the match. Potentially. He's made some really important saves both in the first half and the second half. Callum Britton, Jack Vale, Nice ball to Gallagher. Oh, we're playing some good stuff when we get the ball forward. And a 3-0 victory. I hope the fans are happy with that. They were adamant that we beat Preston because they want to finish above them in the table. It's what it should have been. Second against 17th, second at home to 17th as well. Should be a comfortable win. At least we haven't suffered any hangover from the break from the World Cup. We left off with the World Cup recap at the end of the group stage. So if we just step into where we're at in terms of what happened after that. Obviously, there was a few shocks in the group stage with Argentina and Germany not qualifying for the next round. Going into the second round, so Holland had a comfortable win over Iran, which you would expect. France, comfortable win over Mexico, again you'd expect. Poland beat Denmark. England hammered Ecuador. Brazil beat Ghana. And Spain beat Belgium on penalties, which is, it was definitely the biggest of the games in terms of two top nations going against each other. But Spain knocked Belgium out. Portugal beat Switzerland, and Croatia beat Costa Rica. So pretty much, as you'd expect, the only one you could possibly argue is Poland beating Denmark. But most of the big sides came through as far as what happened in the second round. In the quarterfinal, Brazil beat Spain 1-0. France beat Holland 1-0. Much tighter games than the previous round. And in the other quarterfinals, Croatia beat Portugal, which was a bit of a surprise, and England hammered Poland. And then into the semi-finals, Brazil beat France. England beat Croatia, just about hung on there. And then in the third and fourth place playoff, France hammered Croatia. And in the final, England beat Brazil. 2 early goals, Harry Kane and Eric Dyer, and with Vinicius pulling one back for Brazil. The interesting thing was looking at the team that England started with. She had Ramsdale in goal, Walker, Dyer, Tomori, Chilwell, Ward-Prowse in front of the back four, with Curtis Jones and Jude Bellingham in the centre of midfield, Foden and Saka wide, and Kane through the middle. And obviously, so Ben White came off the bench, Raheem Sterling came off the bench, Marcus Rashford came off the bench. But fairly certain we're not going to see anything close to that team in any of the England games during the World Cup. But England were victorious. And then in terms of the stats, so highest goal scorer was Kylian Mbappe with 7 and 7. Harry Kane got 6. Tammy Abraham got 5, despite only starting one game, averaged 30 minutes ago. Assists, Cucurella got 3, Sterling got 3, Brozovic got 3. No one really standing out above the pack there in terms of the award winners. So the best player went to Harry Kane with his 6 goals in 7 games, average of 7.73. Kylian Mbappe was in second, and Bukayo Saka was in third. Best goalkeeper went to Aaron Ramsdale, played 7 games, conceded 4, kept 3 clean sheets. Best young player was Bukayo Saka. So England have basically taken up most of the awards so far. Goal of the tournament was Cristiano Ronaldo. All the goals came in the group stage as far as that was concerned, all from about the same kind of distance. Golden Boot obviously went to Mbappe. And then the dream team was basically mostly England with a couple of Brazilians and a couple of Frenchmen. So Ramsdale, Alves, Danny Alves getting in the team of the World Cup at his age. John Stones, and then Eder Militao, Ben Chilwell, Bukayo Saka, Jude Bellingham, Tchouaméni, Foden, Mbappe and Kane. Since the Preston game, we've had a couple of really good performances and a couple of really poor performances. We followed up that first game after the World Cup against Preston with a win away at Norwich. It was a fairly tight game in the first half. Neither team created much chances. and then we scored 3 in 10 minutes. And although they pulled one back late on, we held on. The following game on Boxing Day against Sunderland, we were atrocious. We were 4-0 down after less than 40 minutes. We got a goal back within the first 20 seconds of the second half kicking off. But from then on, they kind of sat back and we just couldn't create anything. I mean, you can see looking at the average, the ratings there, sort of defensively, we were very poor. And Ben Burton-Diaz probably had his worst game of the season. We bounced back from that game with a 5-0 win against Middlesbrough. We were 3-0 up after 20 minutes. Ben Burton-Diaz got another hat-trick. Comfortable win. Didn't look in any danger at any point. Cardiff on New Year's Day, we got a fairly early goal, but didn't really create an awful lot and were hanging on towards the end. Portsmouth in the third round of the FA Cup, we got off to a good start with 3-0 up. They pulled a goal back and we went straight back up the other end and nicked another one. Because of how well we played up to the first half and the 4-1 win, we were able to take some of the more influential players off at half time and give some other players a run out. We followed that up with a win against Rotherham. We went behind early on in that game and then pulled it back to win 3-1. Jack Vale, who's done well when he's come into the team, picked up a couple of goals. Sam Gallagher picked up one just on half time to put us in front. And then the most recent game against Bristol City, we went behind early on, then equalised with a penalty. And then we fell apart and were quickly, I mean, they scored, 3 goals in 9 minutes, so we were 4-1 down. The fourth goal was one of the most bizarre things. The goalkeeper went to intercept it with his feet rather than with his hands. And then also, to make matters worse, when they showed the replays, their player was offside as well. But then we pulled 2 goals back. Brent Burton-Diaz completing another hat-trick. But they, as we were pushing on for the equaliser, they nipped up the other end, counter-attacked on us, and got a tap in to make it 5-3. The next game we've got Oxford in the 4th round of the FA Cup. So they knocked out Nottingham Forest in the 3rd round after a replay. So that's where we're at next. In terms of the league, we are starting to fall a bit behind Norwich now, despite the fact that we obviously beat them fairly comfortably just before Christmas there. We're 4 points behind Norwich, but we are 9 points clear of Burnley. So we're comfortably in second as long as we don't collapse over the second half of the season. I mean, with 13 points inside the playoffs, so at least we should hit the playoffs. Ben Burton-Diaz has got 23 goals. Tyler Morton's got 11 assists. John Buckley's got 9 assists. The one kind of concern is the number of yellow cards Lewis Travis has picked up, but given the role he's playing, I suppose that's all you can expect. But overall, things are going a lot better than probably would have expected at the start of the season, especially considering we've got the youngest squad in the league. In terms of how the board and everything is, we're struggling with the wage budget just because we've signed players to extended contracts, and hopefully the wage budget will go up once at the end of the season. The board just want us to finish in the top half, so they're fine. Be competitive in the Carabao Cup. I think we went through one round, so they were okay with that. Competitive in the FA Cup, they're fine with that. In terms of the culture, developing players using the club's youth system, well, we've brought some of the youth players into the team. Signed players under the age of 23 for the first team, signed players from the lower levels of the domestic game. So the only signings we've actually made are 2 loan signings, which was Antonio Silva, who's 18, and Enda Stevens, who's 32. Obviously, neither of those have come from the lower levels of the domestic game, so I can understand them being disappointed in that. But we haven't signed any players, really. We haven't certainly signed anyone permanently, so that's a bit of a kind of concern. They're obviously pleased with some of the results and the positive atmosphere in the changing room, but disappointed with those heavy defeats. As far as the support is concerned, again, they're reserving judgment on the youth system. Forging a higher reputation than Burnley, they're satisfied at the moment because we've tried to position the club to be more reputable. They're delighted that we're above Preston in the league, and they're very pleased because they expected us to reach the playoffs, even though the board only expected us to finish in the top half. But overall, things are going pretty well, and hopefully we can continue through the rest of the season. Going into the game against Oxford, obviously they're the division below us, so we are favourites going into the game. We have gone back to the team that we've spent most of the season playing with, so Ben Burton-Days is moving from playing behind the front man to playing wide left. John Buckley's pushed forward, and we've got Travis and Morton together in midfield because Jack Vale's out for a couple of weeks injured. Hopefully we should have a strong enough team that we can comfortably get through this tie. Stevens to Buckley, Scott Wharton, Antonio Silva into Morton, Gallagher, Hedges. Oh, offside. And we don't get to see a replay. But Hedges has been a bit disappointing in the last couple of weeks, so hopefully he can return to some kind of form. Right to Britain. Acres of space to run into here. Onto Hedges. Oh, and Gallagher heads wide. I think it's slightly concerning me how much possession we've had and how little they've offered in attack. It seems ripe for them to win 1-0 on a counter-attack late on. Oh. Morton with the corner. Burton-Days flicks the header to the back post. No one on the posts, so as long as it was on target, it was always going in. We probably should have made more of our dominance in that first half, but we're in a decent position. As long as we just carry on, probably keep the same team for at least until the hour, and then maybe we should look to change it up if we're a bit more secure at that point. Right, they've got a throw in. Good tackle. Right, Stevens is bringing the ball down the left. Lovely ball. Gallagher's through. And the defender got a touch on it. Antonio Silva tidying up at the back there. To Wharton. Right, can we spread it? It was an interesting tackle. Oh, Gallagher's won the ball back there well. Burton-Diaz. Oh, the defender really badly misjudged that. Buckley took a touch and slots it past the keeper. It's a nothing ball, but when you look at it at first, defender really misjudges his jump, and Buckley steals in. He hadn't been playing that well up until that point. It's a bit of a concern that Ben Burton-Diaz is looking like he's injured. Oh, that was nearly the same as our second goal there. Defender misjudged it, but our keeper was able to turn it behind for a corner. Dolan spreads it wide to Rankin Costello. To Clinton Mola, breaking forward from midfield. Stevens with the ball forwards. Somehow Rankin Costello got that ball back across. And there was Terry Dolan to make it 3-0. Wrap the game up. And that's just through to the next round. How he managed to get that one back. But no one reacted in the defence, and Dolan was there to nod home. And there it is, full time. 3-0 victory, through to the next round. Hopefully that injury for Ben Burton-Diaz isn't too serious, but other than that, pretty much all you could have asked for. And that's it for this episode. Join us next time to see if we can continue our push for promotion. See you then.